Have you ever had that moment where you realize you're investing everything, your time, your effort, your emotional bandwidth into people and things that are giving you almost nothing back? Maybe you're the friend who always shows up, the person who always replies, who always invites people, who always messages first, always supportive, always available. You're just always there. And if you're like me, you felt like that makes you a good person, a good friend, a good partner. But here's what you might not realize. We've been training everyone around us that our energy is infinite. And the crazy part is that we never really realize that in this dynamic, it's one-sided until we find that we need something. Until you were going through a really hard time and you reached out and then it was just like crickets, surface level responses, or just feeling like this imbalance that people don't seem to ever have the time for you that you always give to them. I used to think that being a good person meant never expecting anything back. That real love and real friendship, it's unconditional. If you're like me, then you believe that if you expected anything in return, that would mean that you were selfish or transactional. But it took until this year to finally outgrow this belief. I learned that your energy is actually currency. Your time is actually finite, that you're not actually being selfish by investing it wisely. You're actually being strategic about your life. I started treating my relationships, my work, my hobbies, everything kind of like a stock portfolio. And just like you wouldn't keep pouring money into a stock, losing lots and lots of money, I stopped pouring energy into things that weren't giving me anything back. What held me back for a long time was thinking that doing this was selfish, was keeping score, being transactional. But it's actually not. This is really about recognizing when things are a one-way street, when you're the one putting in the bulk of the work, of the labor, when you're the one who's always initiating, asking how people are doing, checking in with them. We got to talk about how to recognize one-sided investments, why reciprocity is not just healthy, but necessary, how to audit where the hell your energy is actually going. And I'll share just what changed in my life when I stopped overgiving. The first step to all of this is actually recognizing when the situation, the dynamic you're in is actually one-sided. Because when you're deep in it, and especially when you grew up around this kind of pattern, you don't always see it clearly. If you're anything like me, you make excuses. You're overly compassionate and understanding. You try to remind yourself that they might just be busy or that they're going through something. Like in friendships, that you're the one who's texting first. You're the one who has to initiate plans and get people together, checking in now and then to see how they're doing. But when you need the support, suddenly they're so busy, or they give you surface level advice and change the subject. Or maybe they're the type of friend that only reach out when you feel like they need something from you. Like you won't hear from them for months, but suddenly there's a text or a call when they need a favor or they need someone to vent to. And you show up because that's what you do. But when you take a step back and you're honest with yourself, you can see that it's really never reciprocated. In romantic relationships, maybe it's you always planning dates. Maybe you feel like you're doing a lot more compromising than they are. You find that you're always so understanding when they can't show up emotionally or they're going through something. You're so invested in their growth, their goals, their life. But you just don't feel that same level of interest or curiosity about yours. Or they say that they are, but their actions don't match at work or creative projects. Being the one who always did above and beyond what I was asked. Staying late, taking on extra, really wanting to be the reliable one. But when it comes to recognition, promotion, or bare minimum appreciation, there's always nothing. You just don't get a return on your investment. If you're like me, you've been pouring in 80%, 90%, or even 100% of the energy and the effort, and you're getting back 20%, 30%, and you've normalized it. Maybe this is how all your relationships have really been for as long as you can remember. You're just somebody who has to give more to get anything. The first step to changing this is just taking a step back and seeing it clearly, not judging yourself for it, not blaming the other person. It's important to recognize, oh, in this dynamic, I'm the one giving a lot more. That's just what this is. But here's where I got stuck for a long time. I truly believed that thinking about this and wanting reciprocity was selfish. I felt like it makes me a bad person. I really had to dismantle this core limiting belief that I had that Real love meant giving without getting anything in return. But that's not what healthy and fulfilling relationships look like. That's kind of like what codependency looks like, what burnout looks like. Reciprocity is not a bad thing. It's not about keeping score. It's not transactional. I did this for you, so you owe me that. Reciprocity means both people showing up, both people caring and investing, both people really valuing and respecting the other person's life, their needs and their growth. It's balanced effort over time. Like sometimes someone's going to be going through a hard time and they're not able to give more than 20 or 30%, and you pick up the slack. But it means that that's not all the time. Those are in exceptions, and that most of the time, the balance could be near 40-60, and it's not always you doing more. Here's why this matters. When you're actually in a reciprocal relationship, whether it's friendship, romance, or work, you feel energized by it. Even when you give a lot, you don't feel drained by it because you're also receiving. You're also being seen and supported and cared for. But when it's one-sided, that's when you feel exhausted. That's how resentment builds. Like you're always giving and you're never getting filled back up, not even a little bit. That's not sustainable. We just can't pour from an empty cup. I thought that I was being noble by giving unconditionally, that it was a good thing. Yes, I was actually just afraid. If I would need people, if I would ask for things, that I would be too much and they would leave. Deep down, like I truly believed that my greatest value was in what I could give. That's fear-based relating. You have to prove your love to feel validated through your utility. Healthy and sustainable relationships, whether it's love or friendship, they require some kind of mutuality. It's important for both people that their needs matter, that they can speak up and be heard and there be some kind of compromise, that they can be considered. When we try to set boundaries, we get pushback sometimes from people around us that needing reciprocity is selfish or that you're asking for too much from them. That's just the sound of somebody who benefits so much from you overgiving and giving you nothing back and wanting to sustain that dynamic, wanting to keep you in that role. So once you are honest with yourself about recognizing the one-sided patterns in your life and you can understand that reciprocity is healthy, the next step is looking at your life and doing an honest audit, which can be scary, but it's necessary. You need to actually look at where your energy is going and what, if anything, you're actually getting back. Because I did this last year and it was really painful. I made a list of like people, projects, hobbies, everything. And I started to write down like what I felt I was giving and what I felt I was receiving in return. Is this reciprocal? My relationship overall is draining me, or does it make me feel more full, like more energized? For friendships, when was the last time they've reached out first? When was the last time they first asked you how you're actually doing and you felt like they were actually listening and not just waiting for you to finish so they could talk? In the moments when I needed support, did they show up for me or did they have excuses? For romantic relationships, do I feel like they're investing in understanding me? Are they making serious efforts? Are they showing up consistently or only when it's convenient? And most importantly, like, do their actions match their words? With work, it's like, am I being compensated fairly? Am I being recognized? Is my growth at all prioritized? Or am I just filling a role? And for hobbies and projects, like these things can drain us too. Am I doing this because I love it or because I feel like I should? In all areas of my life, I was able to see where I was significantly impacted, where I was definitely overinvesting and not getting enough back. Friendships where I was always the one reaching out. A relationship where I felt like I was doing a lot of the emotional labor. Work where I was going above and beyond for people who really didn't value it. This isn't about cutting people off or being harsh. It's about you being honest with yourself about what's actually happening in your life. You cannot change a pattern that you won't acknowledge. You don't even need to write this down on paper. I'm sure if you really just think about it, like you'll know where you're starting to feel some kind of resentment, some imbalance. Okay, so this is where you actually start making changes. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to blow up your life or have big confrontational conversations. But most of the time, it's really just you quietly pulling back your energy, investing less where you're not getting more. Investing more where you are getting something back. For one-sided friendships, I stopped always being the one to reach out. I matched their energy, and if they reached out, great. I stopped forcing connection with people who clearly weren't prioritizing it. And do you know what happened? Some friendships faded. That hurt, but it also showed me the truth. They were in my life because I was holding it together. The moment that I stopped overextending, there was not as much there. But other friendships deepened. People who were invested noticed I was pulling back and asked me what was going on. We had real conversations, and then those relationships actually got stronger. In romantic relationships, I stopped overgiving. I started asking for more of what I needed, that I wanted a partner. I didn't want to take care of somebody, and that I expected going forward, we could find ways to work together. And if they couldn't meet me there, I was willing to walk away. And that's really scary because what if they don't step up? But the truth is that if they don't step up when you stop overcompensating, that tells you everything. They were never going to step up anyway. You were just delaying the inevitable. The principle is this: your energy is finite. You can't give 100% to everyone in your life without getting anything back. So you got to give strategically. Give only so much to people and places until you're sure that they give you back more. What I noticed, the result of this, was that I had so much more energy back. I just wasn't emotionally and physically exhausted from giving so much of myself without getting anything to replenish me. Second, the relationship area of my life, it improved. I felt better generally. I felt less insecure, less anxious, less disappointed, less resentful, because I no longer invested more in the relationships that clearly were not giving me anything back. I felt like I started attracting people that were giving more to me. The biggest change was that I had rewritten the limiting belief that I need to earn love. I need to give in order to hold on to someone, whether I receive anything or not. I started believing that I'm worth investing in just because I exist. That shifts from proving my worth through overgiving to truly believing that I'm inherently valuable. That changed everything. My standards went up, my boundaries got clearer. I stopped settling for crumbs of attention and effort. And look, I'm not gonna lie, it was very lonely, because when you stop overgiving, some people leave and some people are mad at you. Some situations end and you have to grieve that. That's not a good or bad thing, that this is actually a natural process of growth in your life, that not everyone is going to come along with you. Not everyone is aligned with this version of you that's taking care of yourself. And it's usually because people can only meet you where they are. And it's important that you sit with yourself with this discomfort, that you have what feels less in your life or what was comfortable and familiar. On the other side of that discomfort is freedom, genuine connection, energy for yourself, space to invest in things that actually matter, and the knowledge that the people that are in your life are there because they want to be, and not just because you're keeping it going. So if you're watching this and you're exhausted, you're fed up with overgiving, from always being the only one who shows up, from investing in things and people that never give back, I really want you to hear this. You're not selfish for wanting reciprocity. You're not transactional for needing your energy to be valued. It's a non-negotiable. You're not asking for too much by expecting the people you love to actually show up for you when it counts. Your energy is currency. Your time is finite, and you get to choose where it goes. So it's important moving forward that you start to choose wisely. Invest in what invests back. Let go of what's one-sided. Grieve that loss. Open up space and build a life where you're respected and reciprocated. It doesn't happen overnight, and you can pick one area where you feel like you're over-investing and just pull back a little. Try to match their energy instead of always exceeding it. See what happens. See who stays or who gets curious when you stop holding it together. You deserve relationships where both people matter. You deserve to be filled up, not just drained. You deserve to invest your beautiful, valuable energy in places that actually see and honor it. Give yourself permission to stop training people that your needs don't matter as much. Start building a portfolio of relationships and investments that do give back. I'm telling you that your life will change. I promise you that. If you just start today to pull back a little, every day more and more, I promise you your whole life is going to change.